So, hello everyone. I'm so glad you could all join us for this very exciting event tonight. Just to quickly introduce myself, my name's Olivia. I'm a student at ICMS studying business, and I'm very lucky to be joined this evening by the founders of STAX, Don Robertson and Matilda Murray. These guys are very quickly becoming some of the most influential young business owners around. So we're very fortunate to have them here to answer our questions.
So happy to be here, Liv. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
We're stoked. It's actually such an exciting opportunity to sort of chat to you.
We all feel the same, and all of our students and everything. I know we're all very excited. So I think we'll just jump right in. So I think firstly, just for those who don't know, can you kind of run us through a bit about your brand and about STAX and the type of products that you guys offer?
Yeah, so STAX is a fitness fashion brand. We started off in Perth about 5 or 6 years ago, and then Till and I sort of brought it over to Sydney at the beginning of last year. We've got a range of fitness products or fitness fashion products. We are very well known for our best black tights. They are becoming probably the most famous pair of tights in the world at the moment.
They're like the little black dress of tights or leggings.
Amazing. Can definitely vouch for that. Yeah, cool. Perfect. Well, yeah, you guys are just like growing so rapidly and so much success. It's so awesome. If you wanted to, just to start with, kind of take us back to the beginning, like kind of when you came up with the idea, Don, and I know Matilda, you jumped on after that. So if you want to kind of take us back to then and kind of why you chose activewear out of everything else.
Yeah, I think it's it's quite a long story. I grew up in South Africa, and then I did an internship at Nike at the end of my schooling career there. And then I came over because my parents were already living in Australia at the time. Moved over, ended up working at Foot Locker. So I sort of learned that street hustle and how to sell. And then ended up working at a gym where I started a supplement store. And in the supplement store, we decided to start making apparel, and we made these community T-shirts that people wore. The brand was called Muscle Stacks at the time. It was pretty trendy in the space. Shout out to Ken Bell in Perth. And yeah, so things didn't work out well at the supplement store. The gym we were in went into liquidation, and I think I was around 20 or 21, 22 at the time, and had no contracts in place, no lease contracts in place. Pretty much just got the space to trade in, bought all the supplements. We developed a website called Muscle Stacks. I spent all my savings, took out loans to
20K, right? 20K on a website, didn't sell product.
We built a website that cost $20,000. At that time, I took out a personal loan to fund this project. I thought it was going to be the greatest thing in the world. You know, I was so focused on building this dream, and then we sort of ran out of money. At the same time, the store was still ticking over. We were doing quite well in the first 2 years, until the gym went bankrupt ultimately. And because we didn't have any contracts or any things in place, ultimately we had lost all our inventory and our product, because when they seized the facility, they took all of our stuff as well. So yeah, that was pretty crazy period. But then just before that happened, I decided to take everything online. I decided to build a website on Shopify. I learned how to do Photoshop and basic Lightroom tutorials off YouTube, and built the site myself. We'd already started selling apparel at that time, and yeah, just sort of went from there. I think I was negative 80,000. Yeah, people love hearing about that part, because that's such a crazy realization. Till and I was thinking about it recently. You know, to be in that position and then still persevere. Yeah. I was just super focused on making sure that we could keep the brand alive. I think I was working 4 jobs at that stage just to get by. And then I had picked up a job working in Perth CBD. At this stage, I brought out my first pair of women's tights. They were shocking. They were ugly, but I was literally selling it to her. I was messaging everyone on Messenger. I was messaging people on Instagram DM, trying to sell these tights. I think it was like 4 for 200. at a time. Like if you buy 3 pairs or something, sorry, 4 pairs for $200, $50 a pair was a great deal for a pair of tights. And then I was working in the city in Perth, and Till was actually working right next door to the supplement store I was working in as a store manager. And every day she'd come by and buy a protein bar and complain about the price of protein bars. And that's when we started having a bit of banter. And that's when we met. And yeah, pretty much sort of took a different direction from there. And yeah, that's sort of where it really started. And
yeah. Well, that's pretty amazing story. And it kind of like leads me well into the next thing about how when you started, I know a lot of people, like we have a lot of students studying fashion and who would hope to be just like you guys someday. And I think the biggest thing for them and for a lot of young people is just being scared of failing, really. And like that's really I think what stops a lot of people from like pursuing things like you did. So what would you kind of say to people who have that fear and how you kind of overcame that fear of failing, really?
Failure to me doesn't exist. I think failure can be a negative mindset. I think if you acknowledge or if you accept failure, you're already losing. If you entertain the idea that you can fail, I think you've already lost.
I think we're very like, if you fail, it's not the end. That's the way that John and I kind of look at things as well. If something isn't working, it doesn't mean that it's the end. It just absolutely doesn't mean it's the end, actually. It just means that you've got to take another direction, or you've got to ask someone else or try a different route. It's just a lesson every single time. We have had like so many ups and downs in business, but it's always been a lesson every single time. And I think that that's a really important way to look at things too, because if you don't fail, you're never going to learn the lessons, and the more success you have, the bigger the lessons become. So the small failures along the way actually help you to become more confident and make smarter decisions.
You can't focus on failing. You can't focus on the failure because it's literally just a lesson. It's just it's instead of it being a no, it's a not now. You have to pivot and try new things. You have to take that learning experience and try new things. I think when you're building a business and a brand, you have to sort of live in some naivety. You have to sort of have this really crazy tunnel vision that you can't quite explain to someone, because you have to be focused on your goal. You have to be focused on the outcome. Shit's going to happen. Like, things aren't going to work out. Probably 80% of the time, it's not going to work out. You're going to develop poor product. You're going to have poor sampling experience. You're going to lose money. But if you
that's
focus,
20%.
you're working for that 20%, that 20% of the success at the end of the tunnel, which is what you're going to manifest, and it's going to grow.
I think that's really apparent as well, because when I met John, he had like this tunnel vision of STAX, and I was working full time in recruitment. I had no thought of moving over, like leaving my like safe corporate job to sell tights. And that wasn't the game plan at all. But John was so like tunnel vision on STAX, and I didn't understand it, but that didn't kind of distract him from that tunnel vision and doing what he knew was going to be successful one day. And then I learned and I fell in love with the brand as well. We kind of joined forces, and here we are now. So I think that, like, in that sense, not everyone's going to understand your vision and understand what it is that you want to do. But if you have that like passion in your heart and that fire, you just have to keep going.
Yeah, amazing. Sounds like you guys really like complemented each other, and like it was really just a drive that you've got to have.
100%. I'll just quickly share onto that. So I grew up as an entrepreneur. I'd always tried new things. I tried different things. I think the first entrepreneur experience I had was when I was in year 1 or 2, and I was selling melted candles to my classmates around Valentine's Day. So I had always had this knack in me to make something and sell it and create something. And I grew up in the arts. I did some stuff in entertainment and theatrics, and learned a lot about fashion, blah, blah, blah. But then when Till came on board, things changed, because I was able to express myself with another person and have someone else's vision grow with me. So the chemistry of our relationship is what I think has really taken the brand to a new level and the business operation to a new level, because I think that's one thing that a lot of young people, and you might not quite realize, when you're building a business and a brand, it's a very selfish process because you have to commit 200% to it. And I'm just lucky that, you know, Till has a passion for fashion, likes business as well, so we can do it together. But I think that's what people need to realize. You know, if you want to build that dream, it's going to take so much dedication, and it's really hard to manage the distractions, what could be distractions.
And I guess it's like important that you also let Till in at the time, because like you say, it's a selfish process, but you know, two heads always better than one, and you saw that, I guess, in her, and it's really clearly worked out for you. So it's pretty amazing.
But you know what's important is that you sometimes have to let things happen as well. You can't control the process too much. You know, there's going to be things in your journey that you need to sometimes accept and embrace, because as much as you might have this tunnel vision, like there's going to be things, you don't want to miss opportunities along the way. There's going to be crazy.
You have to go off plan sometimes.
Most of the time, like you might have this clear vision or this clear goal, but sometimes at the end of the day, you know, it's not going to look like what you imagined it to be. It might even be better. But I think people we have to be open-minded. We have to be open-minded to take opportunities and, you know, look at things for what they are when they come into your life.
And you guys say you've had your ups and downs along the way, of course, as any business has. And as you were saying, it's all a learning curve and it all teaches you things for the future. But what do you think the biggest challenges, maybe like specific things that have sort of come up and been a roadblock in your way that you maybe wish you knew before, or something like, and you could give advice to someone who's to maybe not, so they wouldn't have to, you know, make those mistakes as well?
I think starting small. I think when I first started my real business, I went to the bank and got as much money as I could from a personal loan. I tried to max out as many credit cards as I could, because, you know, when you're young in business, firstly, you don't have equity.
This is like Don's #1 lesson, by the way. Like, I know what he's going to say, and it's good.
It's something I try and teach a lot of youth, you know, a lot of friends, young people that I connect with. Like, it's a bit of a long story, but when you start a business, you need money, right? When you're selling a product, you need money, right? When you're selling a service, it's a bit different because you don't need inventory to start with. But when you're starting a business and you buy product, you need upfront capital. And when you're young, delusional entrepreneur, people aren't going to necessarily believe in your vision, because there's 1,000 clothing brands out there. Why is someone going to want to give you money? So I didn't really faze myself with the fact that no one wanted to help me. I got a personal loan, and I realized you could take out credit cards. And I did. But there's a couple of things I learned in that process. One is building the website for $20,000 without understanding that it's impossible to get a return from that, because you've got to constantly pay developers. So I learned a very big mistake there. I realized that I didn't understand that we had to separate money for inventory as well. So I spent all the money on the website, and I didn't have enough money left for the product or the business operation. So a very, very important thing that most people don't realize and know in business is cash flow management. Cash flow management is such an important thing in the beginning steps of business, because it's going to determine everything of your operation. The other side to that is when you're young and you're applying for credit cards and credit and loans, et cetera, it has an effect on your credit score. So we all have a credit score. We all have a credit rating. And when you pump out these applications online, you might jump online and think you can apply for 6-7 credit cards. Every time you do that, it affects your credit score negatively. And that hangs around for about 5 years. So, or, you know, if there's some people watching and you're thinking about trying to apply for loans, apply for credit cards to fund your dream, relax. Like, think through, do some research, start small, spend very little, sell one product at a time, have patience.
I think that's the key, is you don't have to go like gangbusters and do something huge. Like, don't be comparing yourself to, you know, your idolized brand or a company that you want to be like. You just need to do the little things right, and then you'll be able to build, and those little things will become a little bit bigger every time. But you don't need to go like all out, get 1 million credit cards, get $1 million and try and sell product and then realize you're in debt and it's a struggle.
Yeah, like you guys have been running for however, like so many years now, and you've built up slowly, of course. And I guess if people are just looking straight up to you guys and thinking, I want to sell out like STAX too, and it's like, it's just not realistic.
Yeah.
It's not realistic.
No such thing as an overnight success.
You have to set your expectations. You have to realize that, you know, there's two facets in this whole thing. One is building a brand. The other is building a business. They're two very, very different things. You know, a brand is done with emotion and creativity and patience and time, and a business is done with strategy, implementation of the strategy, and understanding, you know, cash flow management, business structures, so many things that you need to learn, that you need to study. So yeah, there's a lot of lessons along the way. Patience is key, I think. But what we've learned, you have to be patient.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, that's great advice, I think. I'd love to kind of jump into you guys bring out these amazing collections, and there's so much hype around them, and I'm sure so much work go into them. Do you guys, like, before collections come out, because I know you've had, obviously some collections will do incredible and some collections, I mean, you guys pretty much have all yours do pretty incredible, but do you ever sort of, do you think you're getting better at predicting how much stock you're going to need and things like that, like as over time, like as your designs develop and things like that? Are you getting sort of more experienced in predicting how collections are going to sell and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we were going through a stage where we would just sell out every single time. That's when we really couldn't predict how many people were shopping, because we were growing so rapidly. And it is still really hard to predict. Sometimes you have these collections and they'll sell out because it's attracted so many more customers. So the next collection, you know, will increase our stock levels and it sells out again. And then you try for the next, and it's really hard to kind of get that lucky number. But we also can tell, you know, when it comes to stock levels, what collections are going to do better purely because of the style or the design and things like that. And we want to be able to create a variety of designs, so anyone can jump on the website and find something that they love. But I think we've gotten a lot better, and it is a little bit easier to kind of predict how much stock we're going to require.
We're very close to our fans and our community.
We can like sense the hype as well.
We understand our community very well. The core of our community, we understand well. They understand us very well. So we, you know, you get very different people in the community, and different things are going to apply or be appealing to different people. So we try and cater for everyone. So we'll create collections that we know that, you know, a collection like the, what did we do this year? The spring collection, very colorful, lots of flowers. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. So we wouldn't order that much of it. However, we've grown that much that the order for that collection was more than we would have ordered for our best collection last year, for example. Yeah, wow. So it's a lot of trial and error. We're constantly learning. You're able to pick up patterns in the consumer's behavior. We understand our customers very well, we think. And then with every collection, we're trying our very best actually to not sell out. In the sense of having more and more and more imagery.
That's literally the aim, is that we don't sell out, which is so funny because when we started, all I wanted to do was sell out. And now it's like we don't want to sell out because we still want those sales to come through every day. And
because we're growing that fast and we're exposing ourselves to a very big international market at the moment, you know, there's collections from the past that we've done that are phenomenal, that are great, that we bring back because we sort of want them to be exposed to it as well.
Because we've got so many new people online every single day, and so many new people exposed to us daily. The things that we think are old collections are completely brand new to some people.
Yeah. So it's a lot of learning, constantly learning. The market constantly changes, but we just listen to, you know, the feedback we get, and we watch social media, and we watch the people that wear us and tag us.
I think it's cool as well, the fact that we're so active on social too, because we show BTS, we show designing, and like I can tell when like I post and people get excited for a collection. Like I'm able to kind of read how many people are replying or how much traction we're getting off a post and stuff like that. So we stay like stay very connected with our audience so that we can read that too.
Yeah, and so that's you guys have such a strong kind of community, I think, even compared to so many other brands. like on social media. You guys, I guess, would both be considered like so influencers as well. And so do you think that is like a huge part of why you've been really successful, is this strong kind of community that you've been able to build while building this super strong brand?
It's all about the community.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know,
I think the community is like a massive, plays a huge part in it.
we're, you know, I often say that we're a designer brand on the principle that we are the designers. We don't have a team of designers. Like, Till and I create the product. Like, I'm the lead designer. So people are following our journey and buying what we create. But when we create for the people, it's like this crazy little cycle, because like we literally listen and we want to create the perfect product for the people that are wearing it. And they want to buy the stuff that we're creating because
they've seen the process of it.
So 100% social media is everything. And the fact that we are so close to the people wearing the product, the brand's fans, I think is hugely successful, as opposed to other brands that are quite removed from the consumers.
And it's my favorite part as well. I know it's like my favorite part is seeing everyone tagging, or it's become such a thing that if you shop STAX, you upload your photo or you post somewhere or you do this, and like that's incredible. We love it so much.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how much you guys have your reposts on and everything like that. I think it really brings, like, it makes your customer feel special, and it's just unlike any other brand, I think. And we've had a question come through from someone watching, which I think goes back to the exclusivity of your brand. And you were saying that back in the day when you were kind of not able to predict the market and predict how much you were going to sell, do you think that's kind of in a way built an exclusivity around your brand and kind of increased the demand for products in a way, even though it wasn't sort of made like that?
I think people always want what they can't have. That's human nature. For us, it wasn't a strategy we implemented.
We didn't do it on purpose.
It wasn't a question of like, this is what we're going to do to grow the brand's hype, etc. We just know how to market a product and put it into the market. And to be entirely honest, we were buying as much as we could possibly afford to grow, and people were just buying. People just wanted the product, and we'd increase it every time and increase it every time. I mean, there is a point where you can't just produce unlimited amounts of limited edition collections, because it wouldn't make it limited. However, with our core ranges, such as the best black tights, we are literally trying to create an endless supply. You know, we just had Black Friday, and we just put our best black tights, our best black series on Black Friday. That's our best selling product. We put it on sales just so people that haven't had the opportunity to shop yet, that want to try the brand, could try it for the first time. We ordered the most amount of stock we ever have, and we weren't expecting it to sell out, and it sold out. So yeah, I mean, exclusivity is part and parcel of the brand. It's what makes a brand, you know, have that thing, but it's not a strategic thing that we do. It's just become what it's become. Yeah,
for sure. Something else that I think is kind of super interesting to know, did you guys have a moment where you were like, because I know you kind of grew really quickly, like a couple of years ago, whenever it was, like, it was really like, you guys just grew at a rapid rate. Was there kind of like a moment or like a collection that you brought out where you were like, okay, like this is getting big, like this, you know, this isn't child's play anymore, you know, like, did you have kind of like a moment where you were like, yeah, like this is pretty amazing?
Seamless V2. We'll tell this. Till can jump on the story of Seamless V2, but what made Seamless very special is it's a product that we've been working on for the last 4 years before we were able to launch it. Seamless fabric it's a new technology in the way fabric is made. So, you know, I guess in textiles and in fashion, like, there's not much technology you can bring into product or into garments. You know, it's limited. It's not technology. It's not like an app or an iPhone or these things you can continuously invent. So we learned about seamless technology and the way a new way that fabric is made, and we jumped on it and we went into product development. And that took me about 4 years to get right. I remember getting a sample in once. This was literally probably 2 years in, and I thought we nailed it. And we got the sample in, and Till tried it on, and like it was literally see-through. Like it was horrible.
Yeah.
And it sort of just sets you back. So we worked really hard on this product, and then we brought it in to launch in April this year. And that happened to be in the middle of COVID.
The start here.
Yeah.
It was the very start of COVID here.
And then we had this massive campaign organized where I did like a casting call, which took so much work. We had so many entries. I think there was like over 1,000 girls that could be available this time and this date. And we had to pick out, you know, the models.
We were flying
for the day.
people in from different states for this campaign.
So I think there was like, there was 8. So I think there's 8 colors or 6. And then COVID happened, so we couldn't do any of it. You couldn't have people in the same room. You couldn't do anything. So Don is a photographer, self-taught photographer, and I take photos on Instagram. So we're like, you know what, whatever, we will shoot it ourselves. I ended up modeling. Don shot the campaign. It was just like I did my own makeup. It was a real like last minute, we've got to make it work situation.
Well, we had to make it work because we had literally put all our money into this collection. And mind you, so again, when you're in manufacturing, you know, people might not realize when you're buying in bulk, it takes about 8 to 12 weeks to get the product into your warehouse before you can start selling it. So before you see any money, you have to come up with this money to buy all this inventory up front and then have it shipped over. So we done that.
It was here.
but what the real stressful thing for us at the time was we'd spent all our money on this product. It was quite a lot. And the coronavirus just broke out. And the factories went into lockdown. We weren't sure if our product was going to get finished for this period. And, you know, we didn't have inventory to see us through. We were heavily relying on, you know, flipping this collection just to at least get some money back in. And COVID hit, everything shut down. Till and I remember like one week and we were like, what are we going to do? Like, is this it for us? Are we done? But luckily enough, they were able to get the inventory on the ship and on a container, and it made its way to Sydney. So we finally got the product in, and then we couldn't launch the campaign. You know, in the same breath, we've created so much energy and so much vision into this campaign that was supposed to be huge for us. And we couldn't do it. We couldn't pull it off. But we were flexible. We pivoted, and then Till stepped up and became the model. And we shot it, and we built some hype around that. It's what we do. And it went viral. Yeah. It went crazy.
Yeah, news articles, Vogue, everything. And then I'd say that was kind of the point where we were like, okay, like we're doing something right here. Things work. And that was only this year. We've been around, STAX has been around since 2014, 2015. So like 6 years now.
It gave us the opportunity to sort of put ourselves on the map and show the world what we can do and what we're about, what we want to do. And we followed it up this year time and time again. We just dropped Seamless version 3 about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that doubled that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was probably the one moment where just everything just sort of fell into place, and we're super grateful it worked out for us.
Yeah, and you were saying how you know, we create hype around a product. Like that's what you guys do, and I 100% would agree with that, you know. And do you think, because you guys also utilize influencer marketing quite heavily, like, I mean, if you would say it's one of your core kind of strategies that you use, can you talk a bit about why you kind of use influence so much and how you think it kind of contributes to your success, and also how you choose influencers that you think will perfectly fit your brand?
Yeah, totally. So we are really picky and strategic when it comes to the influencers that we work with. We want a range of different people and people that their audience really trust. So I think that's the difference in why we would work with an influencer as opposed to just like an ad somewhere, because people can't connect to an ad specifically. People trust influencers. Influencers really are like the sales tactic behind a lot of brands now. So just the fact that you can have that personal relationship with the influencer, people trust their favorite influencer, Their favorite influencer is honest as well. So we don't expect our influencers to, if they don't like a product, they don't have to post about it. We definitely don't work in a situation like that. And I think we've seen so much success from influencers because we do pick ones that have a really loyal following and ones that do speak the truth.
We pick leaders. You know,
industry leaders.
Our influencers have become our family at the end of the day. We don't just jump online and Google an agency and try and work with every influencer in their portfolio. For the most part, we don't even do that at all. We would follow people we think that are leaders that can bring our product to life. And then we work on building a relationship with those people so they can get our message across. Because at the end of the day, influencer marketing is just a different way of putting stuff out into the universe. It's what TV and radio station is and radio is for today's day and age. People are more tuned into watching their favorite influencers on Instagram than a television commercial.
I think that's the difference in how we do influencer marketing, is because like we jump on the phone with our influencers whenever we're in the same studio, the same state as them. We meet up, like we have that relationship. We message them. It's not like we just pay someone to do something and they don't even know our names.
And by the way, they need to love the brand. If they're just going to post something and not post about it again, like we're not interested in working with them because we want it to be organic and authentic. We want their followers to really believe in what they're presenting because it should be the truth. We believe we have some of the best products out there, and we need to be able to get that message across to as many people as we possibly can so that they can be exposed to STAX. And the only way to do it in today's day and age is through influencers.
Absolutely.
But leaders, not people that are just posting stuff for likes or for the sake of content, people that can get your message across. And we have a shared vision. Like, I think
just good people.
Such good people. Like all the people we work with, like we have such a good relationship with, like a personal relationship, and they believe in the brand, and we believe in them. So the synergy and chemistry in that is where the success is, not necessarily in using influencers. It's the chemistry in that relationship, because that's what's gonna transition into the customers, into the market.
And people are smart. People know that, influencers make money off Instagram. So if you're seeing someone that's just posting and selling all the time, then they don't, you can tell when someone believes in the brand. And we're very particular about who we work with, and they do need to truly believe in the brand.
Because they represent the brand as well. It's a two-way street. So yeah, the chemistry in that relationship is everything, really.
And I guess when your consumers are just constantly seeing your products and seeing people they love your products, and it's just like constant, they're being exposed to it on their social media, which is where they are all the time now. Like they're not on the radio or whatever, as you were saying before. Like it's just a new type of marketing.
It's where the attention is.
Yeah.
You have to market where the attention is. By the way, it's not going to be like that forever. Instagram will have its moment. So then we have to think about what's coming next.
We've got to pivot,
We have to think about where's the future attention going to be.
But that's exactly like what John was saying, is that you might have a plan, but you do have to change it, and you've always got to stay adaptable and stay open to learning new things, because that things change so rapidly and so quickly. You need to, if something stops working, you need to make sure you've jumped onto the next thing.
Yeah. No, very true. I think it's very important for everyone to understand that they have to keep up with things and not just stick with what's always worked, because it's just not going to work forever.
Well, the world changes fast. The market changes very, very fast. And from a business aspect, things are constantly changing and evolving. If you're stuck in your ways, that's when you're going to struggle.
I remember I didn't want to leave Snapchat for Instagram stories. I was so against that. I was like, Instagram is so rude, and now I don't even have Snapchat. And thank God we moved over, because that's where, if I was stubborn and stuck in my ways, we wouldn't have been popping on Instagram stories.
Yeah. And another thing that I guess that kind of jumps into is you guys obviously are a fashion brand, so you've got to stay up with the trends in fashion as well. And so how do you guys think you really do that? And obviously you both love fashion, but you're ahead of the curveball in so many of your collections and everything like that, and you kind of predict things before they're even a trend, and I think everyone can see that. So where do you kind of draw your inspiration from? And I think our fashion students would love to know kind of how you do that, and of course it comes from your own mind. That's why you're so hugely successful. But do you have places that you kind of draw inspiration from and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think you just have to be very real and understand that the major fashion houses dictate fashion. At the end of the day, the Dior's, the Pradas, the Louis Vuittons, the Balenciagas, those are the fashion houses that dictate fashion. Simply put, they have the creatives, they have history behind them that will set the trends. They'll set the season's colors, etc., etc. What we do is we learn. I follow all the creative directors for every single brand, and I try and study them, and I try and understand what they're doing, and I try and be a part of their movement. So you'll notice when one brand, it's seasonal amongst all the brands. So for example, Dior might start a trend or a color, and all the brands will do the same thing. And next season, Louis Vuitton might do the same thing, and all the brands will follow. They all sort of work together and set the trend, and it flows through into your fast fashion brands, etc. So all I try and do is learn from what the fashion houses are doing and bring that into our reality, and learn from that and implement it in our own way. We never copy at all. We're authentic. We create, but we create what's relevant for the market. And by the way, sometimes you can be too early on something too. So as much as my head's in the clouds with these crazy ideas I might have, we have to then think, well, how can we practically bring that into our market and make it relevant for our customers and consumers?
And so in terms of your process of designing as well, I'm sure it's such a long, in-depth process with the manufacturing and with you designing it and it being made into an actual physical product from what you've thought up. Can you tell us a bit about the process of that and kind of I know you have manufacturers overseas and how you kind of chose that and those conditions over there and sort of the design kind of to the physical product.
The design is the fun part. It's where I get to be creative. It's where I get to have a shower and think about these crazy ideas. I might think of a campaign first. I might think of something I've seen in a shopping mall. I might think of something I've seen in Mecca or something, and then I would think, how can I bring that into what we do? And I just let my imagination go wild, and then I'll jot some ideas down on paper, crazy ideas. People would look at it and think like, what's this guy doing? And then I pitch it to Till, and Till and I have this understanding. She's like my creative filter. If I pitch something to her and she doesn't get it, I know it's not going to work in the market. If I pitch something to her and she gets it, I know it's going to be successful.
John's like a real dreamer, and then I'm kind of more like bringing back down to earth, logical thinker. So I think it's a good balance that we have in that sense. But I mean, we both literally pick up inspiration from anywhere. But John does all the design.
But Till's the woman. I don't wear women's fashion. Till will be constantly thinking about how can we improve a product or have an idea for a product, and then my job is to take that idea and turn it into something. So we bounce off each other in that aspect, and then once we have the idea on paper at ridiculous hours of the morning, it'll be a shower or we go into the toilet, and you might just have a dream, or it might come from whatever it is. You drop that down on paper, and then you start work, and then you do the design. You draw up your tech sheet and the specs of the product, and then you go to the designs at the factory, and then we start working on that particular product. And in the beginning it was difficult. In the beginning, you didn't understand the people you're talking to. You didn't have a relationship. You don't understand each other creatively. And I'm referencing the actual manufacturers. So your samples always come back
completely
so bad. But once you do it, once you've done it for a few years and you have phenomenal creative relationships with your team over there, we can create our concepts here, our designs here, and we can present it to them, and they can do the tech. And they would create the sample from that tech, send it to us. We would then select the fabric options we like. I might write out a recommendation, and we might sample one particular product in 3 different fabrics. and it will get back to us, and Till and I will test it ourselves. We'd wear it, we'd wash it, we'd assess it, we'd think about it for a day or two and see if we're happy with it. And if we're happy with it, then we go straight to production. So the process now is quite smooth. It just takes time because, by the way, if you're not happy with the sample, we've got to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Try again and try again.
Yeah.
So it can be quite a tedious process. But the key is to make sure your team, your manufacturing team, is aligned with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think a lot of people struggle, or where a lot of people might give up.
Yeah. No, that's very cool to know that you guys also have a relationship with them, and I'm sure it just makes the process a lot quicker. And also, even with money for the business, like it must make that side of it a lot better for you guys as well, because you don't have to go back and forth eventually, I guess, with so many samples and things like that, but just like all a part of the process.
I think, like, for young designers and for young entrepreneurs, my advice is that you should make sure that you do as much work as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
You might jump on Alibaba and find a supplier, and you might present your idea to the supplier and expect them to do it for you. And then you'll receive the sample and it's not what you envisioned, but you haven't done the work. Mm-hmm. You haven't created the specification. You haven't created the measurement. You haven't done the logo. You haven't found the color on a Pantone of the product you want. You haven't specified exactly what fabric you want, what thread count you want, what blend of cotton you want. So in your mind, you've dreamed up this product. You can't explain it to them. They send you back their best interpretation of it, and it doesn't meet your expectation of it. And then
I guess that's kind of like how you said about the website as well, though. Like at the very start, like John paid all this money for someone to build a website, but then he didn't know how to edit it, and he had to make changes, he had to pay more money and things like that. I think if you're starting out, you can't just hire people or expect other people to do things for you. You need to know how to. Would you agree? You need to know how to do everything in your business
100%.
yourself, because you need to know every aspect of your business so that you can make sure you're bringing in the right people, or you're being able to train people to help you run the business as opposed to running it for you. I think you need to know how to run your business before you can have anyone else help you do that.
I think you're setting yourself up for failure. You know, I've watched a lot of businesses, and
you can't just outsource everything at the start.
I've watched some young founders do some very silly moves. You know, you might come up with this business plan, this business concept, and then you go and raise. You go and find money for it. And, you know, you might raise $1 million, and then you start hiring people to do the jobs. But you realize there's so many things you haven't learned to do yet. You haven't learned to manage a team. You haven't learned how to manage your business. You haven't learned how to create the processes.
Update the website. And then you have to quantify that and bring it back to understanding how to use Photoshop, understanding how to use Lightroom, understanding how to edit your theme on Shopify. Mm-hmm. You can't do all of these things and you rely on someone else to do it. You're setting yourself up for failure, because that person might quit that you've hired. Or they might have a sick day.
Yeah.
Till and I are firm believers in start very small, start very slow, do as much as you can yourself in the beginning, and then when the workload for you becomes too much, you start hiring people to support you. But you need to have your head wrapped around every single facet of the operational side of the business. And then from a fashion perspective, I think that's where the separate. That's why real designers get irritated with people that just try and start up t-shirt businesses, because they're not designers. They don't understand the process, the culture in fashion, and that's the difference between, you know, fashion and business in fashion, and brand and business. So try and do as much as you can yourself. Be enlightened. Learn.
Yeah, something I think we've learnt a lot. I've learnt a lot even throughout my course is kind of, if you want to be a CEO, you kind of need to know a little bit about everything rather than a lot about one thing, because it has its place, but you can't run your business knowing nothing about certain parts of it. So I think it's super important that you guys agree with that, and that's kind of helped you as well be sort of so successful as knowing.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, if like someone doesn't turn up to work, or someone, you know, we run a team now, we've got think 16 staff, and if they don't turn up to work, if all of them didn't turn up to work, Don and I would still be able to run the daily operations. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it will fall on us, and like we're the ones who've got to get shit done. So we've got to know how to do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's important not to confuse what we're saying with being control freaks, because that's not it at all. It's about making sure that you can manage every process in your business.
You know what's going on.
When you're growing, eventually you're going to hire specialist people to do those jobs. You need to hire, because you can't do it all. You shouldn't do it all. You should be hiring people smarter than you to do the jobs. But you still have, like you're saying, Liv, you still have to have your head wrapped around their job.
A little bit,
accountable.
Yeah. Well, we're coming close to the end of our time today. I could talk to you guys for hours. I think you are just so amazing. I know. So I think the best thing to probably finish off with would sort of be, what would be the 3 main things that if you could sort of go back in time to before you started and tell yourself then 3 things, what would they be? Sort of before you started your businesses and everything like that?
One is, don't apply for credit cards. Don't apply for credit cards, and learn cash flow management.
Yeah.
It's more important, if not as important, as profit. If you can't manage your cash flow, your business doesn't stand a chance.
I think not comparing yourself to anybody else or your journey to anybody else's journey, because you don't see the full, 360 of someone's business or life, and they're on a completely different path to you, and you can't compare yourself to them because you're at different stages. And I think it's the same as like being original and staying true to yourself. Don't look towards what someone else is doing and just follow them, because you're always going to be second to them. They're always be in front of you. You want to just work out what works for you, what you love, and just do the very best that you can do for yourself, instead of comparing yourself to somebody else or what they're doing, because you'll always be a step behind.
Be your own competition.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of brands. They all have a place. We all coexist.
Well, that's it. We don't expect people to just shop. We would like you to, but we don't expect you to just shop STAX forever. There's room for everyone.
There's 7 days a week. Not everyone's going to wear STAX 7 days a week. So we're happy to share that with other brands and other people. We all coexist. We just need to focus on what we do and what we do best. So focus on yourself. And I had another one for you, but maybe that's 3.
I think just staying true to yourself. Like, you honestly I think that is the number one thing, like staying in your own lane, focusing on yourself, and not, keep an eye on what other people are doing, but don't become obsessed with it, because you lose track and priority of what you're actually trying to do.
Cash flow management, focus on yourself, and have patience.
Yeah.
Patience. It takes time. It takes dedication and time.
Don't give up.
That's, if I could go back to myself, I'd whisper in my ear, don't give up. Just keep going. It will work out.
You were never going to give up.
No, but if I go back, I'd be like, stop not giving up.
Not giving up.
Yeah, that's pretty. I think that's 3 pretty important tips that I think everyone should really take into account after seeing how you guys have grown in such a short period of time. So I think we should wrap it up. Is there anything else you guys?
I'll leave one final thought, because I know a lot of the people that are watching this are probably studying with you guys. I think there's such great value. When I speak to a lot of young people in this day and age, a lot of them might not see the value in completing a degree or completing a course, especially when they're first starting out. But there's so much value in having those certifications and picking up the knowledge along the way, especially when understanding the principles of how to operate in business, and especially in the fashion sector. So my encouragement is complete your courses. Don't give up in that aspect as well. You're going to learn so much. It's going to be valuable along the way. You'll literally be 5 or 6 steps ahead of someone that's trying to do it without. So that's my final thought.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I go and follow these guys on Instagram and check out STAX website. It's all incredible products. I can vouch for that. And Matilda does question boxes all the time. So if you guys have more questions for them, head over there, and I know she'll be amazing at answering them. But thank you guys so much. We honestly feel so lucky to have had you guys here. Hope we can do some more stuff with you in the future, because I think your knowledge is just invaluable, truly. So thank you so much for being here.
For having
All the
us.
best. Thank you.
And